We're live from New Delhi, watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Explosion in a car near Red Fort in New Delhi claims 8 lives. President, Vice President and Prime Minister Modi condole loss of lives in the blast. Prime Minister takes a stock of the situation as Home Minister visits the blast site and hospital. Several Indian states and cities on high alert after the blast. Home Minister Amit Shah to hold a high-level meeting today, says all angles being probed. Condolences poured in from across the globe. Leaders expressed deep sorrow over the loss of lives in the deadly blast. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to embark on a 2-day visit to Bhutan. Visit aims to strengthen special ties of friendship and cooperation between the two countries. President Droupadi Murmu addresses the Angolan National Assembly, highlights women empowerment in India through grassroots democracy, meets members of Indian community in Angola to attend the 50th anniversary celebrations of Angola's independence. And the United Nations Climate Conference COP30 opens in the Amazon city of Belém in Brazil with pleas for the world to keep up the fight against global warming. And the big news we are tracking here at DD India Live, 8 people lost their lives and many were injured after a blast in a car near Delhi's Red Fort on Monday evening. Now, the Delhi Fire Services received a call regarding the explosion near the metro station gate number 1 at around 18:52 IST. The blast took place in a slow-moving car, following which several other vehicles also caught fire and sustained damage in the explosion. Well, the area was cordoned off and teams of Delhi Police, National Investigation Agency, National Security Guard and Forensic Science Laboratory are investigating the incident. The police are scanning CCTV footage to determine the route of the vehicle before the blast occurred. They're questioning locals and asking eyewitnesses to share information about any suspicious activity in the lead-up to the incident. Mobile dump data is also being gathered. No terror outfit has so far claimed a responsibility for the attack. Well, on your screens right now are the morning visuals from the blast site. A team of Forensic Science Laboratory and security personnel are present there. It is to be noted that the blast was so powerful that it shattered the windows of vehicles parked several meters away and was heard in nearby buildings of the contested areas. Visuals of the incident showed plumes of fire billowing from the burning cars. Now, the Traders Association said that Chandni Chowk market will be closed on Tuesday due to the blast. Well, also following the explosion, the cause of which was yet to be ascertained and disclosed by the police, a nationwide alert was sounded, leading to enhanced security in crowded areas. Indian states of Maharashtra, West Bengal, Rajasthan, Haryana, Punjab, Hyderabad, Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand are on high alert, and so is Bihar, which is set to vote in the second and final round of polling on Tuesday. Authorities in Kerala have also directed the police to strengthen security across the state. And after the blast, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also took stock of the situation with Home Minister Amit Shah and other officials. Later, in a social media post on X, he expressed condolences to those who have lost their loved ones in the blast in Delhi earlier this evening. He hoped that may the injured recover at the earliest and those affected are being assisted by the authorities. Also, Union Home Minister Amit Shah too said a detailed analysis of the blast will be conducted with top security officers on Tuesday. Well, moments after the blast, the Home Minister visited the site and later went to meet the injured at Lok Nayak Jayaprakash Hospital. He also informed that the top agencies in the country are investigating the incident with full intensity and that they will go in depth into the incident. Also, President Droupadi Murmu has condoled the loss of lives in the blast. In a social media post, she said, and I quote, "I convey my heartfelt condolences to the families and friends of those who lost their lives in the blast that has taken place in Delhi. I pray for quick recovery of those injured," unquote. Well, notably, the Jammu and Kashmir police on Monday busted an interstate and transnational terror module, arrested 7 people and seized 2,900 kg of possible ammonium nitrate in the past 15 days. Out of the total recovery, 360 kilograms of possible ammonium nitrate was recovered from the house of a doctor in Haryana's Faridabad. Besides, timers with batteries, arms, ammunitions, including assault rifle and walkie-talkie were also recovered. According to the officials, the recovery was made during a raid at Al Falah Hospital in Faridabad based on information provided by Dr. Adil Ahmed, rather during interrogation. Another doctor, Dr. Muzammil Shakil, who was employed at the hospital, has also been arrested in connection with the case. Now, the joint operation between Haryana Police and J&K Police is still underway. Meanwhile, the political fraternity across the globe condoled the loss of lives in Delhi explosion. The European Union's ambassador to India, along with the envoy of France and the Egyptian embassy, offered condolences on the loss of lives in Delhi blast on Monday evening. The US State Department Bureau of South and Central Asian Affairs also expressed condolences over the high-intensity blast near Delhi's historic Red Fort. Extending condolences over the incident, President Mohammad Muizzi said Maldives stands in solidarity with the people and government of India in this difficult time. Condolences also poured in from the ambassadors of Japan, UK and Argentina. The ambassadors extended prayers for the injured and deceased. The embassy of Iran also expressed deep sorrow and conveyed sympathy. And moving on, Bihar is witnessing the second and final phase of its high-stakes assembly elections 2025 on Tuesday as voting gets underway from 7 IST across 122 constituencies spread over 20 districts. This concluding phase will play a decisive role in shaping the composition of the next state government. A total of 1,302 candidates are in the fray in this phase, which covers parts of central, western and northern Bihar. Nearly 3.7 crore voters are eligible to cast their ballots at 45,399 polling stations, the highest ever set up for an election phase in the state. Now, the security has also been significantly tightened across sensitive and vulnerable booths, with paramilitary forces stationed in key areas. Additionally, several points along the India-Nepal border have been sealed to prevent any cross-border movement or illegal activities that could disrupt the electoral process. The counting of votes for all 243 constituencies will take place on November 14th. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting Bhutan from the 11th to 12th of November. The visit will mark the celebration of civilizational ties and shared Buddhist heritage. It will also build upon India's neighborhood first policy and highlight the development partnership between India and Bhutan. DD India correspondent Shubhendu Ghosh gets us more from Thimphu.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will pay a state visit to Bhutan from 11th to 12th November 2025. The visit seeks to strengthen the special ties of friendship and cooperation between the two countries. In Thimphu, Prime Minister Modi will participate in the ongoing Global Peace Prayer Festival. Prime Minister will also attend the celebrations dedicated to the 70th birth anniversary of His Majesty Jigme Singye Wangchuk, the fourth king of Bhutan. The visit coincides with the exposition of the sacred Piprava relics of Lord Buddha from India. Prime Minister will also offer prayers to the holy relics. During the visit, Prime Minister Modi will receive an audience with the King of Bhutan, Jigme Kheser Namgyal Wangchuk. The two leaders will inaugurate the 1020 megawatt Punat Sangchu second hydropower project, developed jointly by India and Bhutan. PM Modi will hold talks with his Bhutanese counterpart, Shering Tobgay. India is Bhutan's largest trade and development partner. Since 2014, India's trade with Bhutan has more than tripled from $484 million in 2014-15 to $1,777.44 million in 2024-25, accounting for over 80% of Bhutan's overall trade. India is also helping Bhutan in capacity building efforts by partnering in the Gyalsung project, a skill development initiative for the youth. This will be the fourth visit of PM Modi to the Himalayan kingdom since taking office.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Bhutan will offer great opportunities to take forward cooperation in diverse areas. There is the shared heritage of Buddhism, where Prime Minister is going to participate in global peace prayer festivities. Also time-tested development partnership with focus on the mega hydropower project. The leaders will also have the opportunity to take forward cooperation and discussions on railway connectivity and emerging technologies. With camera person Saurabh, Shubhendu Ghosh for DD India in Thimphu.
And President Droupadi Murmu is on a two-nation visit to Angola and Botswana. Addressed the Angola Parliament on Monday. Addressing the National Assembly, President Murmu said the relationship between India and Angola is based on mutual trust, respect, shared values and economic and social development. Both countries stand together on the international stage. President also spoke about the strong parliamentary tradition between the two countries.
भारत विश्व का सबसे बड़ा लोकतंत्र है और अंगोला अफ्रीका के सबसे गतिशील लोकतंत्रों में से एक है। दोनों ही इस विश्वास पर आधारित है कि प्रत्येक नागरिक की आवाज़ मायने रखती है और शासन का उद्देश्य कुछ लोगों की ही नहीं बल्कि सबकी सेवा है। हम दोनों देशों की संसदों के बीच एक्सचेंजेस और संसदीय व्यवस्था के सुचारू संचालन से जुड़ी बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस को साझा करने का स्वागत करते हैं।
Well, President Murmu also mentioned the representation of women in both countries and encouraged the participation of women in Angola's parliament. The president will be attending the 50th anniversary celebrations of Angola's independence on Tuesday.
विश्व की सबसे बड़े लोकतंत्र की महिला राष्ट्रपति होने के नाते मुझे ये देखकर अत्यंत प्रसन्नता है कि अंगोला की संसद में महिलाओं का उल्लेखनीय प्रतिनिधित्व है। संसद के 39% से अधिक सदस्य महिलाएं हैं। ये जेंडर इक्वलिटी और इंक्लूसिव गवर्नेंस का प्रेरणादायक उदाहरण है।
And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. US and Switzerland near deal to cut tariffs as Trump signals willingness to ease trade tensions. Sergio Gore sworn in as next US ambassador to India. And British-Hungarian writer David Saleh wins the Booker Prize for novel Flesh.
geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khuranan. Moving on, the COP30 climate summit opened on Monday with the UN climate chief urging countries to cooperate rather than battle over priorities. Well, the host country, Brazil, brokered a deal on the agenda for the two-week summit in the Amazon city of Belém, deflecting attempts by developing country negotiating blocs to shoehorn contentious issues like climate finance and carbon taxes into the talks. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva warned against interests trying to obscure the dangers of climate change. Well, California Governor Gavin Newsom and New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham were expected in Belém on Tuesday. Germany said European countries would push for commitments to rein in fossil fuel use. Also, the United States opted to skip this year's summit as U.S. President Donald Trump falsely asserts that climate change is a hoax. COP30 President André Correia Lego told a news conference that the absence of the U.S. has opened some space for the world to see what developing countries are doing. The UN said on Monday that countries' climate efforts will contribute to reducing emissions by 12% by the year 2035. UN Climate Change Executive Secretary Simon Steele said US contributions to the organization's budget for the coming fiscal year were funded by donations.
The good news is we're not starting from nothing. The Paris Agreement is delivering real progress. We're now bending the curve of planet heating emissions downwards for the very first time. And I'd refer you to the letter we sent to the parties this morning, which has the latest numbers, updating our recent NDC synthesis report. The new NDCs, including many received in recent days, will reduce emissions by 12% in 2035. That's a big deal.
Well, the United States is working with Switzerland on a deal to lower the 39% tariff rate it faces on exports to the U.S. President Donald Trump told reporters in the Oval Office on Monday, but said he had not yet settled on a new rate. Also, Trump acknowledged that the U.S. had hit Switzerland hard, but said Washington viewed Switzerland as a good ally and wants the Alpine country to remain successful.
With Switzerland?
Yeah.
We're working on a deal to get their tariffs a little bit lower because...
15% is what we're doing.
No, I haven't said any number, but we're going to be working on something to help Switzerland along. We hit Switzerland very hard. We want Switzerland to remain successful, and, you know, we're a part of Switzerland in the sense that they've been a very good ally. Yeah, we're working on them and some others, and we're working on others to increase them a little bit too.
Well, also the Swiss government declined to comment on Monday after the country was close to reaching a deal with the U.S. that would reduce Washington's tariffs on its exports to 15%. Now, Switzerland has been scrambling to secure a trade agreement with Trump that could reduce the 39% tariff rate that he slapped on Swiss imports in August, among the highest duty levied in his global trade reset. Moreover, U.S. President Donald Trump said on Monday that a deal to end the government shutdown was very good, adding that he would abide by the agreement while noting some terms might still change. Trump also addressed healthcare, saying his administration aimed to shift funding directly to the citizens rather than insurance companies, adding we're going to be working on that very hard over the next short period of time.
Well, I will be. I'll abide by the deal. The deal is Very good. We're not going to be giving $1.5 trillion to people that came in from jails and from, the gangs and drug dealers and all of these others that they wanted to be given health care, which would have hurt our health care system. I hope that we're going to be able to have a health care where Lindsay and I were discussing it, Jim and I were discussing it, and Katie, we discussed it. We want a health care system where we pay the money to the people instead of the insurance companies.
Well, Sergio Gore was sworn in as the next U.S. ambassador to India on Monday, with President Donald Trump presiding over the swearing-in ceremony. Gore thanked Trump for entrusting him with the responsibility of the relationship with India and said, "I look forward to enhancing the relationship between our two nations. I look forward to doing a great job for you." In August, Trump nominated Sergio Gore as India's next ambassador and special envoy for South and Central Asian affairs. During his testimony before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee in September, Gore had emphasized that India is one of the most important relationships U.S. has in the world. And in Egypt, election began for the first phase of parliamentary elections to choose members of the House of Representatives, nearly 2 years after President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi was elected to a third and sixth-year term. This is the final term Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is allowed under the current constitution. Polling is held over several phases and continues for more than 5 weeks. Egypt's 596-seat House of Representatives include 568 elected members, 284 chosen through the closed list system and 284 through the individual system, in addition to 28 members directly appointed by the presidential decree. Expat voting took place on November 7th and 8th in Egyptian embassies and consulates across 117 countries. The results of the first phase will be announced on 18th of November. Phase 2 will take place on November 21st and 22nd for expats and on November 24th to 25th for citizens across the remaining 13 provinces. The results of the second phase will be announced on the 2nd of December. And moving on, U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened legal action against the BBC over its edited 2021 Capitol speech, which the British broadcaster admitted was an error of judgment. In a letter, Trump's lawyers said the BBC must retract its documentary by Friday or face a lawsuit for no less than $1 billion. The letter also demanded that BBC issue an apology and compensate Trump for alleged reputational and financial harm. A BBC documentary misrepresented Trump's January 6 speech, omitting his calls for peaceful action, which his lawyers deemed false and defamatory. The controversy and broader criticism led to the resignation of BBC Director General Tim Davie and News Chief Deborah Turnus. Early on Monday, BBC Chair Amit Shah apologized for the edit but denied systematic bias, following a leaked internal report criticizing the broadcaster's coverage ahead of the 2024 U.S. election. And British-Hungarian author David Szalay, who has won the 2025 Booker Prize for his novel Flesh, a haunting tale of ambition, loss and identity. Zalay's win marks his first Booker after previously being shortlisted in 2016 for All That Man Is. David Zalay's novel Flesh tells tortured story of a Hungarian emigre who makes and loses a fortune. The novel examines masculinity and moral decay through spare, powerful prose. He beats 5 other shortlisted authors to claim the prestigious literary prize. Speaking to the Booker Prize organizers, Szalay said he wanted to craft a story that began with Hungary, ended with England, exploring Europe's deep cultural and economic divides. And world number 2, Jannik Sinner, got off to a solid start in his title defense at the ATP finals before his home fans, defeating Canada's Felix Auger-Aliassime 7-5, 6-1 on Monday. Throughout the match, Auger-Aliassime appeared slowed by a left calf issue that arose near the end of the first set, allowing Sinner to comfortably take control. Sinner will next face world number 3 Alexander Zverev of Germany. To reclaim the top spot, Sinner must win the season-ending event with no Alcaraz showdown possible in the finals. Notably, Sinner won the title in Turin last year without dropping a set and have not lost at the event since the 2023 final against Novak Djokovic. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Kurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.